My mom refuses to marry her fiancé until I agree to call him dad. Now she blames me for ruining her life. Hey everyone, I'm going to tell you about the most manipulative, emotionally exhausting situation I've been trapped in for the past 7 years, and I genuinely need to know if I'm the villain in this story or if I'm just a kid being blamed for adult decisions I never asked to make. My name is Emma. I'm 16 years old, and according to my mom and her fiancé, I am single-handedly responsible for destroying their happiness and preventing them from getting married. Let me give you the background because this situation is so twisted that you need the full context to understand how insane it's gotten. When I was 4 years old, my dad died. He had a heart attack at work, completely unexpected, completely devastating. One day, I had a dad who would read me bedtime stories and push me on the swings at the park, and the next day he was just gone. My mom was destroyed. I was too young to fully understand what death meant, but I remember my mom crying for months. I remember the house feeling empty and quiet. I remember people bringing us casseroles and speaking in hushed voices. For the next 5 years, it was just me and my mom. We figured out our new normal together. She went back to work part-time when I started school. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our life. It wasn't the life we'd planned, but it was ours. My memories of my dad are honestly pretty vague now. I was so young when he died. I remember feelings more than specific moments. The sound of his laugh, the way he'd lift me up onto his shoulders, the safety of being held by him. But actual clear memories? I don't have many. My mom kept his memory alive, though. Photos all over the house, stories about him. She'd tell me, "Your dad would be so proud of you," or "Your dad loved this song." She made sure I knew who he was, even though I was too young to really remember him myself. When I was 9, my mom started dating again. She met someone, let's call him Mark, through a friend at work. She was nervous to tell me about him, sat me down with this whole speech about how she'd always loved her dad, but she was ready to maybe find companionship again. I was fine with it. Honestly, I was 9. I didn't really understand the implications. I was just happy to see my mom smile more. Mark seemed nice. He was polite when he came over, asked about school, didn't try too hard to be my friend. For the first year or so, he was just this guy my mom was dating. He'd come over for dinner sometimes, they'd go out on weekends. It was fine, low-key, comfortable. Then they got serious. When I was 11, Mark proposed to my mom. She said yes, and she was so happy, genuinely, radiantly happy, in a way I hadn't seen since before my dad died. I was happy for her. I remember thinking, good, Mom deserves to be happy. The engagement party was nice. My mom introduced me to people as my daughter Emma and Mark as my fiancé. Everything felt normal. I thought we'd have a wedding, they'd get married, and life would just continue with Mark as my mom's husband, like a normal blended family situation. But then they started talking about the wedding plans. That's when everything got weird. My mom found something online, some kind of ceremony where it's not just the couple getting married, but the step-parent and stepchild also have this symbolic choosing ceremony. Like the step-parent vows to be their parent, and the kid vows to accept them as their parent, and they exchange promises or gifts or something. When my mom first told me about it, I was 11 and didn't really understand what she was asking. So at the wedding, it won't just be me and Mark getting married. You'll be part of the ceremony too. Mark will make vows to you about being your dad, and you'll make vows to him about accepting him as your dad. We'll all become a family together in one beautiful moment. I remember feeling uncomfortable immediately, even though I couldn't articulate why. Can't I just be a bridesmaid or something? My mom looked disappointed. This is more special than that, sweetheart. This is about all 3 of us becoming a family, about Mark officially becoming your dad. But he's not my dad. The words just came out. I wasn't trying to be mean or hurtful. It was just true. Mark wasn't my dad. My dad was dead. My mom's expression changed. Honey, I know your dad will always be your dad in your heart, but Mark wants to be a dad to you now. He wants to be a family with us. But I don't want him to be my dad. That's the first time I said it out loud. The first time I admitted that while I liked Mark fine as my mom's boyfriend, I didn't see him as a father figure. I didn't want a replacement dad. I had a dad. He died, but he was still my dad. My mom tried to convince me it would be meaningful, that I'd regret not doing it, that it would make our family complete. But I held firm. I don't want to do that ceremony. That's when everything started to fall apart. Instead of planning the wedding around me being a bridesmaid or flower girl or just a regular guest, my mom and Mark put all the wedding planning on hold and said they didn't want to get married without me being fully on board with their vision of the ceremony. I told them to just get married without the ceremony. They said no. This was what they wanted, and they'd wait until I was ready. I was 11 years old, and suddenly the entire wedding was being held hostage to my participation in something I never wanted to do. That's when the therapy started.
When I was 11, my mom and Mark decided we needed family therapy. The stated goal was to help Emma process her feelings about gaining a new father figure and becoming comfortable with the family ceremony. Let me be very clear about something. This wasn't therapy to help me deal with my dad's death, though that would have been useful. This wasn't therapy to help me adjust to my mom remarrying, which also would have been reasonable. This was therapy specifically designed to change my mind about the ceremony, to make me want to call Mark dad, to convince me that rejecting this symbolic parent-child vow exchange was wrong. Our therapist was this older woman named Dr. Patricia. She seemed nice at first. She'd have sessions with just me, sessions with all three of us, sessions with just my mom and Mark. In the individual sessions, she'd ask me questions like, why don't you want Mark to be your father? And what do you think having a dad again would bring to your life? I'd try to explain. I already had a dad. He died. Mark is nice, but he's not my dad. He's my mom's boyfriend, and soon he'll be her husband, and that's fine, but I don't need him to be my dad. But don't you miss having a father figure? She'd push. Sometimes, but that doesn't mean any man who marries my mom automatically becomes my dad. What would it take for you to see Mark as a father? I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe that's just not how I feel. Dr. Patricia would get this look on her face like I was being difficult, like I was the problem that needed to be fixed. In the family sessions, my mom and Mark would talk about how important the ceremony was to them, how much they wanted us to be a real family, how they were willing to wait as long as it took for me to be ready, which sounds patient and loving, except it wasn't. It was pressure, constant, unrelenting pressure disguised as patience. We just want you to feel like you're part of this marriage, Emma. We want you to know that this isn't just about your mom and me. It's about all three of us. But it is about you and Mom. You're the ones getting married. I'm just here. You're not just here, my mom would insist. You're the most important part. The whole point of this is to make us a family. We already are a family. You're my mom. Mark can be your husband. Why isn't that enough? Round and round we'd go, the same arguments in slightly different words. Dr. Patricia would try to mediate, but she always seemed to side with my mom and Mark. She'd use therapy language to make it sound neutral, like, Emma, let's explore why you're resistant to this bonding experience. But the message was clear. I was the problem. After a year of therapy, my feelings hadn't changed. I still didn't want to do the ceremony. I still didn't want Mark to be my dad. My mom started getting frustrated. Emma, we've been in therapy for a year. You're not even trying to work through this. I am trying. I'm being honest about my feelings. That's what you're supposed to do in therapy, right? But your feelings aren't changing. Maybe because they're my actual feelings? That's when she started the video campaign. My mom found dozens of videos online, TikTok,
YouTube, Instagram, of weddings where step-parents and stepchildren did these elaborate ceremonies. The kids would cry happy tears. The step-parents would make these emotional vows. Everyone would hug at the end. She'd show them to me constantly. Look how beautiful this is, Emma. Look how happy this girl is to call her stepdad father. Don't you want something like this? No, Mom, I really don't. But why? Look at how meaningful it is for them. That's them. That's not me. She even showed me videos where the biological parent had died, just like my dad. These kids standing at weddings, symbolically accepting a new parent, talking about how their deceased parent would want them to be happy and have a family. See, my mom would say, your dad would want this for you. He'd want you to have a father figure. That made me so angry. You don't know what dad would want. He's dead, and you using him to manipulate me into doing what you want is really messed up. She'd get tears in her eyes. I'm not manipulating you. I'm trying to help you see how special this could be. But it was manipulation. Showing me videos of crying children, accepting step-parents, telling my dead father would want this, making me feel guilty for not wanting what she wanted, that's textbook manipulation. Mark tried his approach too. He'd pull me aside for these one-on-one talks. Emma, I really want to marry your mom. I love her so much. Then marry her. I'm not stopping you. But I don't want to just marry her. I want to be a family. I want to be your dad. Why do you need me to call you dad for you to marry my mom? Because I don't want to be an outsider in my own family. I don't want to just be the guy your mom married. I want to be your father. But you're not my father. My father is dead. He'd get this hurt look on his face. I know I can't replace your dad. I'm not trying to, but I can be a dad to you now. I can be there for you, support you, be a father figure in your life. You can do all of that without making me promise to call you dad in front of a room full of people. It's not about making you promise. It's about us choosing each other, about making our relationship official. Our relationship is fine the way it is. You're my mom's fiancé. Soon you'll be her husband. That's the relationship. He'd look so disappointed, and I'd feel guilty, which was the point, I realize now. These weren't genuine conversations. They were guilt trips. The therapy continued for 3 years. 3 years of weekly or bi-weekly sessions, all focused on changing my mind about one thing. When I was 14, I finally told my mom I was done with therapy. It's not helping, my feelings haven't changed, and they're not going to change. I don't want to do the ceremony. I'm sorry that disappoints you, but it's the truth. My mom looked at me like I'd broken her heart. So you're giving up? You're not even going to try anymore? I've been trying for 3 years, Mom. I've gone to every session. I've listened to all your arguments. I've watched all your videos, but I don't want what you want, and forcing me isn't going to change that. We stopped going to therapy, but the pressure didn't stop. It just changed forms.
After the therapy ended, my mom and Mark were stuck. They'd been engaged for 3 years at that point, with no wedding date set. People were starting to ask questions. At first, they'd give vague answers. We're just taking our time. We want to make sure everything's perfect. We're focusing on building our family first. But last year, when I turned 15, that changed. People started asking more directly. At family gatherings, at parties, random encounters at the grocery store, everyone wanted to know when the wedding was finally happening. And my mom and Mark started telling them the truth. Or their version of it, anyway. We're waiting for Emma to be ready, my mom would say, with this sad, long-suffering expression. Emma's not quite on board with our plans yet, Mark would add. The implication was clear. I was the problem. I was the obstacle. I was the reason they couldn't get married. The first time I heard them say it, I was shocked. We were at my aunt's house for Thanksgiving, and my aunt asked about the wedding. We're still working on some family dynamics. Emma's not quite ready for us to get married yet. My aunt looked at me with this confused expression. Emma, honey, why wouldn't you want your mom to be happy? I felt everyone's eyes on me. I do want mom to be happy. I've told them they should get married. I just don't want to do this whole ceremony thing where I have to, Emma, we're not going to get into details here.
My mom cut me off with a tight smile, but the damage was done. My aunt and everyone else in the room now thought I was some bratty teenager preventing my poor mother from getting married. After that, it happened more and more often. At my mom's work party, we'd love to get married, but we're waiting for our daughter to be comfortable with the idea. At Mark's family reunion, Emma's still adjusting to the idea of me being part of the family. We don't want to rush her. At church, we're trusting God's timing and waiting for Emma to be ready. Every single time, they made it sound like I was holding the wedding hostage, like they were these patient, loving people waiting for their difficult, resistant child to give them permission to be happy. I started correcting them loudly. They want me to do this ceremony where I call Mark dad and he vows to be my father, and I don't want to do that. They can get married anytime they want. I'm not stopping them. My mom would get embarrassed and angry. Emma, you're making this sound like something it's not. I'm telling the truth. You're the ones making it sound like I'm keeping you hostage. Mark would jump in, trying to smooth things over. We just want Emma to feel included in the wedding, that's all. We want her to be comfortable. I'd be comfortable being a bridesmaid. I'd be comfortable being a guest. You're the ones who won't get married unless I agree to your specific plan. These public confrontations became a pattern. They'd blame me, I'd correct the record, they'd act like I was being dramatic or difficult. My mom's friends started giving me these looks, a mix of pity and judgment, like they felt sorry for my mom for having such a difficult daughter. One of her friends even pulled me aside once. "Sweetie, I know change is hard, but your mom deserves to be happy. Mark seems like such a nice man. Maybe you could try being more open-minded." I am open-minded. I think they should get married. I just don't want to pretend Mark is replacing my dad. No one's trying to replace your father, honey, but he's been gone for a long time. Maybe it's time to let someone new into your heart. I was so tired of people acting like my boundaries were the problem, like wanting to keep my dad's memory separate from my mom's new marriage was somehow selfish or closed-minded.
The worst part was how my mom and Mark acted like victims in all of this, like they were making this huge sacrifice by waiting for me, when the reality was that I'd told them dozens of times they should just get married without the ceremony. Just get married, I'd say. Have a normal wedding. I'll be there. I'll be happy for you. Just stop trying to force me into this role I don't want. "We can't do that," Mark would say. "This ceremony is important to us. It's about becoming a real family." "You keep saying that, but we can be a family without me having to take vows to accept you as my dad." "That's what you don't understand, Emma," my mom would say, frustrated. "The ceremony isn't just about you accepting Mark. It's about all of us committing to each other. It's about making our family official in every way, not just legally." "But I don't want my relationship with Mark to be official. I'm fine with how things are now." How things are now isn't enough for us. And there was the real truth. It wasn't enough for them. But instead of accepting that and either getting married without the ceremony or accepting that maybe this relationship wasn't going to work the way they envisioned, they blamed me. 6 months ago, we had a massive fight, one of the worst of my life. My mom came into my room one night, sat on my bed, and said, "Emma, we need to talk." I knew from her tone that this wasn't going to be good. "Your stepdad and I, he's not my stepdad. You're not married." She took a breath, visibly calming herself. "Mark and I have been engaged for over 5 years now. We love each other. We want to build a life together. But we can't move forward until you're on board with our wedding plans." "Then move forward without me being on board. Get married. I'll be there. I'll smile in the photos. Just don't make me do the ceremony." "That's not an option for us, Emma. You know that." "Then you're choosing not to get married. That's on you, not me." My mom's eyes filled with tears. "Do you have any idea how hard this is? watching everyone else move on with their lives while we're stuck in this limbo, all because you're being stubborn? I'm not being stubborn. I'm being honest about what I want and don't want. You're the ones being stubborn by refusing to accept that. We're trying to build a family. We already are a family. You're my mom. Mark is your fiancé. That's a family. Why isn't that enough? Because Mark doesn't want to be just my fiancé. He wants to be your father. Too bad. He doesn't get to decide that. I do. And I don't want him to be my father. That's when she said it. The thing that made me realize just how far gone the situation really was. Your father would be so disappointed in you right now. I felt like I'd been slapped. What? Your dad loved you so much. He'd want you to be happy, to have a father figure in your life. He'd want you to give Mark a chance instead of clinging to the past. Don't you dare use Dad to guilt me. You have no idea what Dad would want. He's been dead for 12 years. You're just using him to manipulate me, and it's disgusting. I'm not manipulating you. I'm trying to make you understand. Understand what? That I'm supposed to betray my dad's memory by standing in front of everyone and choosing someone else to be my dad? That I'm supposed to pretend Mark can replace him? No one's asking you to replace your father. Yes, you are. That's exactly what this ceremony is. It's literally me standing up and saying, this man is my dad now. My mom started crying. You're so selfish, Emma. You have no idea what we've sacrificed for you. We've put our lives on hold for years, waiting for you to be ready. And you don't even care. I do care. I want you to be happy. I want you to get married. I just don't want to participate in your weird ceremony. It's not weird. It's beautiful. It's meaningful. And the fact that you can't see that just shows how immature you are. I'm immature? You're the adult who's been engaged for 5 years and won't get married because your teenager won't call your fiancé Dad. That's insane. She stood up, looking down at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Disappointment mixed with anger, mixed with something that looked almost like hatred. Mark and I both blame you for this, Emma, for delaying our wedding, for keeping us in this limbo, for being so stubborn and selfish that you can't put your own feelings aside for one day to make your mother happy. If I loved you, I'd sacrifice my boundaries and my comfort to make you happy? That's not love, Mom. That's manipulation. She left my room without another word.